The context. On May 9th, 2025, indie VTuber Takahata101 would post a thread of several posts that talk about creators distancing themselves from him over undisclosed allegations, the allegations being non-consensual bed activities. Takahata would state that, while he didn't want to escalate matters, he has compiled a dossier, or Google Doc, with the help of legal counsel, that claims to disprove the allegations with provable evidence. He also stated that he had no intentions of revealing the individual who spread the allegations, and that he will step back from content creation while he processes the situation. On August 27th, 2025, indie VTuber Adora Bunny, a few weeks after her controversy, would make a vague statement about Takahata, where she said that she distanced himself from him due to the allegations. She would also announce her retirement from VTubing as a whole. Takahata would later post on September 7th, 2025, about trying to contact the individual through legal representatives in January of 2025, but never got any response from them, and thanked people for their support as he continues to handle the situation. Indie VTuber AliciaXLife would make a post against Takahata on September 9th, 2025, where she would claim that Takahata admitted to doing bed activities with a woman who was sedated, and had a caretaker due to her not mentally being able to care for herself. Alicia would state that she was given the okay by the individual to speak out, but would also state that she never talked to the individual directly to hear her story, which left people more confused rather than being angry towards Takahata. Roughly 2 hours later, Takahata would release his own statement regarding the situation through an 8-page Google Doc. The relationship. Before going into details about the situation itself, Takahata would explicitly defend the individual, who would be identified as MistressDoomVT, or EJ, which is what I'll use for this video, by stating that while they may have been the source for the allegations and malicious rumors, he blames the people who took advantage of the dramatic nature of the situation rather than EJ herself. Takahata would discuss how he and EJ met, bonding with each other over time spent at a convention in Newcastle. The two would express their feelings to each other, and would begin an online relationship for some time, though communication would be on and off until November of 2019. The two would meet at a mutual friend's wedding, where the two spent time together that weekend. Takahata would break up with his current partner several months after the wedding to actively pursue a stronger relationship with EJ, where the two would get closer emotionally and intimately. It would get to a point where the two would pursue an actual romantic relationship through confessions, and would have this relationship for several years. The wavering signs. Takahata would book a flight in April of 2024 to see EJ around the end of August, and to potentially watch the All Elite Wrestling All-In event in London, which, as the name implies, was a pay-per-view wrestling event. EJ expressed excitement leading up to the event, but would mention how she might not be able to go a few days before the trip due to medical issues with a pet. She would later state that she'd be able to come, but would end up not arriving due to her dog's ear infection and concern over being away from home, and asked Takahata to just come visit her instead. Takahata would state in the document that he was told about EJ's mental health issues, but didn't have knowledge as to whether these issues were severe in nature or not, so he was worried that EJ was just making excuses about her quote-unquote bubble nerves. EJ would later agree to come meet him in London, but would end up having high anxiety over being away from home for too long. The two hung out and went to a hotel room, where she reaffirmed to Takahata that she was not in the right headspace due to the travel anxiety, but would calm down once the traveling concluded. The two would hang out in the hotel room, where EJ would later joke about taking certain pills to live, but did not provide further information than that, and the two got more intimate as the night came. Takahata would state in the document that EJ didn't show signs of being uncomfortable with the intimacy, and consented to bed activities 3 times, with implications that everything was fine. The rapid collapse. The next day, EJ wanted to go home towards the end of the day due to her being away from home for too long, but reaffirmed Takahata that she was happy to see him. Takahata texted EJ after she left to make sure that she got home okay, and EJ would apologize for her anxiety getting the better of her during their time together. Later on, she texted Takahata saying that she'd prefer hanging out just as friends, and shared her history of abuse and trauma. Takahata stated in the document that he worried that he may have pushed EJ too far in getting her to come see him away from home. The next day, EJ sent a breakup message, to which Takahata expressed understanding and hoped that their friendship would still remain strong. The two would go to the AEW event as friends, but EJ would leave early due to her anxiety of being in a large crowd. EJ would invite him to hang out in her hometown with friends, but Takahata would express skepticism, especially since the plans would later change to them hanging out one-on-one, to which Takahata was not comfortable with doing and went home early. Takahata would state that EJ seemed supportive of this decision. However, once he got back home to Canada, he received a series of messages from EJ accusing him of sexual misconduct, claiming that during their bedtime activities, she was sedated and couldn't give consent. Takahata would state that he was shocked at this information, as he had no idea that the pills sedated her, given that she didn't clarify any additional information about them. Takahata would profusely apologize to her in response. His shock would only worsen when he found out that she was spreading these claims of sexual misconduct to their mutual friends and others, to which while others expressed support towards EJ, friends of Takahata were skeptical of EJ's claims and stuck with Takahata. The responses. The initial responses to Takahata's statement have been generally positive, with many expressing support for Takahata and wishing him the best on his legal battle and for his general well-being. Alicia's previous statement would start garnering more heavy backlash, as people would be quick to point out her allegedly cherry-picking details about the situation, with several individuals accusing her of clout chasing for the sake of extra attention. Roughly 3 hours after Takahata released his Google Doc, EJ would put out her own statement, with her caretaker Jimmy posting it on her behalf. EJ would claim that this situation is an active police investigation since August of 2024, and alleges that under the United Kingdom's Sexual Offences Amendment Act of 1992, Takahata violated UK law by publicly naming her. She also alleges that she never wanted this situation to go public, nor wanted people to know that she was a victim, and states that the people who claim to have known and spoken to her are lying. She states that she plans to post evidence when she can. This was met with generally negative responses, as while many people did agree that the case should have remained private, she was the one to initially tell others about her situation, who in turn posted about it in public. While it's very difficult for non-legal experts, such as myself, to properly determine whether Takahata violated the Amendment Act by posting his statement, Takahata previously stated that he worked with lawyers to write the document and gave him the okay to post it. Others would call her out for not responding to Takahata's lawyers and not wanting to provide her evidence when she had the opportunity to do so, calling it as a quote, "take my word" post rather than a proper statement. I would have been done with this video after that statement, but it turns out that the next day, EJ would post another statement about the situation without the usage of Jimmy. She would state that she cannot say or post anything about the situation until it was legally resolved, and reiterated that anybody who spoke publicly about the situation on her behalf didn't have her consent to do so. She stated that she will continue to create content as normal while she works with law enforcement and wouldn't talk about the situation from now on. As of writing, no new responses have been posted, though will 100% change as time moves forward.